First off, my deepest apologies for this coming out so late after the game. Truth is, I was just really tired last night after the game, and I knew it was going to take me another hour and a half. Well, because first of all, the fact is that it takes me about an hour and a half to make these recaps, and then I still have to wait 30 to 45 minutes to get all the stats I need and get the presentation made after the fact. So, I mean, I was looking towards around midnight, and I didn't know if I could make it that long. But nonetheless, here we are with the recap. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Mo Sports Recaps. For tonight, this afternoon actually, we are recapping last night's 2-0 shutout victory for the Minnesota Wild over the division rival St. Louis Blues. And let's just address the elephant in the room right away. That was a terrible game by the Wild. But to be fair, the Blues didn't play that well either offensively. They had a lot of pucks that were shot right at Talbot. But with that said, when they actually created high danger chances, Talbot made the big saves when they counted. Speaking of high danger chances, the Wild only had 3 total for a team last night. Remember, they had two goals. They had one high danger chance that wasn't a goal. It was Johansson, Kaprizov, and then Spurgeon's. I don't really remember Spurgeon's one. Obviously, Johansson's and Kaprizov's resulted in goals. So if you would tell somebody, hey, we scored on 66.7% of our high danger chances, normally you'd think you blew them out. But nope, because we only had 11 shots last night. Now listen, credit where credit is due. The Blues play very good defensively, and they're getting healthy. This was a bad matchup for us. And to make matters worse, it was at the end of a long stretch of games. So this is a win you can certainly, hang your hat on and be, what a good win for us. It was a good team win. But there's still a lot to just throw away from this homestand. You don't throw away the 3 wins, obviously. You be happy about the 3 wins. You take 3 wins anytime you can get them. But this homestand, it's a lot to be decided. Now the Wild, thankfully, get 3 days off. And let me tell you, this team definitely needs them. Hartman was the only player, of course, who scored above 50%, or at least at 50%, I should say. And he had 50% exactly. He could have had 3 more shots, but he elected to make some passes instead that weren't that great. And that was another storyline. Rask had one to Kaprizov, albeit, it did lead to a hooking penalty. But it was literally, Kaprizov had 2 guys around him. Yala was forcing the puck. This was not a good game. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if they win without Cam Talbot. Now, maybe they win with Kaapo Kähkönen. But their goaltending was the difference. Really, this whole homestand. Speaking of shot attempts, Kaprizov had 3, Spurgeon had 4, Soucy had 5, Greenway had 3. Those are the only Wild players that had more than 2 shot attempts. And then Hartman, Kaprizov, and Soucy were the only Wild players with more than 1 shot on goal. Again, I think some of that is that the Blues play very good defense. And I think some of that is that, I think, last night was a case of the Wild, as Bruce Boudreau would used to say, being too perfect. Some guys try to be too perfect, and sometimes you just got to shoot the puck. And as we take a look at the game scores, Kaprizov, really good game score, 1.21. Talbot, I believe Talbot was the leader with a 2.64 game score. Nico Sturm had a game score of 0.08. Joel Eriksson just an uncharacteristically bad game for Ek, negative 1.06. Mojo, a 1.57. And then Matt Dumba, in his first game back, a negative 0.13. The top 5 game scores again, Talbot with a 2.64. 1.57 for Johansson, 1.54 for Fiala, 1.21 for Kaprizov, and 0.79 for Hartman. And then Eriksson minus 1.06. Greenway minus 1. Suter minus 0.58. Cramarosa minus 0.46. And Soucy minus 0.38. Like I said, and that was pretty much where most of the Wild were. They had 2 guys that were -1 or worse, and 4 guys that were +1 or better. So that leaves a lot of guys in that, right around in that point range, whether it be negative or positive. It was just not, like I said, it was just not one of the best games, and yet they found a way to win. And I think that is something to be very proud of. Yes, I understand they played the Ducks the first 2 games, but neither of those games were that great. And this Blues game certainly was not great last night. But in all 3 games in his homestand, despite not playing the best, the Wild still found ways to win. And I think that is something that is very important to have. It's a very good trait to have. And it's something we haven't seen in a while in Minnesota. I'm so used to seeing the Wild, maybe have a bad period, maybe have a couple bad shifts, and all of a sudden, they're turtling. They're getting kicked around the ice. Evanston has put a lot of fight in this team, and they just won't go away. You take a look at the stat cap, and I think I heard this ties a record for Wild franchise history with the lowest shots on goal during a win with 11. They got outshot 37-11. Surprised that they out-hit them, though. I say it's surprising because that's more of the Blues game, really, than it is our game. Penalty minutes were even at 16, and then face-off percentage 57-43, favoring the Blues. Shots on goal by period 10-2, 14-6, 13-3. Blues had both 6 giveaways and 6 takeaways. Wild had 8 giveaways and 5 takeaways. They got to start winning those battles, too, I think. It goes back to doing the little things well. 3 stars of the game. 3rd star was Johansson. 2nd star was Fiala. 1st star, if you can't guess the 1st star, then there's really no hope for you. I'm surprised Kaprizov was not a star of the game, personally. And now let's take a look at the goals. Johansson, his 3rd of the season from Fiala and Brodin at 5:46 of the second. A wrist shot goal made it 1-0. That would be the game winner, but the Wild will get some insurance with 15:21 into the second. A wrist shot from Kaprizov from Matt Zuccarello to make it 2-0. The Wild's hits leader last night was Matt Dumba with 3. Jared Spurgeon led the team in blocks with 3. Susi had the most giveaways of 2. The Wild had a 5-way tie for takeaways. Bonino was the best in the dot at 70% in the face-off circle. And Jonas Brodin led the Wild in time on ice, 23 minutes, 30 seconds. After this game, the Wild are now 21-10-1 on the season. The Blues fall to 16-12-5. Vegas still on top of the division, but they're now tied of Colorado. They each have 45 points. The Wild 2 points behind them at 43, and the Blues at 37. So, we have a couple games against Vegas coming up. That could be a good benchmark. It's looking like this could be, it looks like it could be a 3-team race between Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota heading down the stretch, with a 4-team race, maybe a 3-team race as well for 4th. St. Louis 37, Arizona 33, Los Angeles 32, and the Sharks at 30. So it's probably more of a 3-team race there. And then there's Anaheim with 24 points. The Wild go out west now. They'll start their West Coast road trip with a game in San Jose at 9:30 on Monday. Wild are 21-10-1 again. Sharks are 13-4-4. Their team leader in points is Evander Kane. Goals, assists is also for Kane. The Wild's team leader in points, goals, and assists is also Kaprizov. So, getting a couple of superstars on display. That game can be found on Fox Sports North. The final takeaways for them this game are: you don't have to be satisfied with this homestand, but you've got to respect the Wild digging deep and finding ways to win these games, not playing their best, playing with some very heavy legs at the end of a stretch of a lot of games and not a lot of days. That's all for Most Sports Recaps. Remember, let's go Wild.